Hey, my friends, just a quick heads up to the longer podcast today. We have a treat for you. A treat. We have a guest who's going to share her thoughts, some integrative learnings, healing, and then a process. So please do stay around and listen and learn to Jana Alonso. I think you'll really enjoy it. I know I did. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. So pleased you're here. Your time is valuable and precious. So what I would like to do is fill that time that you share with me with the most shiny golden nuggets to help improve your life, to get your goals, your wishes, your dreams to come to fruition quicker, bigger, better than you could ever imagine. Using your imagination, using hypnosis, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, using all things of the mind. No brain hacks, but real solid processes to deconstruct what people do to become great. And then find the processes that we can install that in ourselves to support you in your dreams and get what you really want in life. Anyway, who am I? I'm Paul Clough, and just going to have conversations with you in this podcast and get you thinking, but also share those processes because we're going to have so much fun. That's it. We're going to have fun for a change because we can sit down for a spell and have more fun than we can stand, creating the world we want to live in and be the person we want to be in that world. The only limitation is your imagination. And you got bucket loads, by the way, bucket loads. Have a listen. You really must.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Hey, my friends, we've got a treat in store for you today. Really have. Every so often, I get requests from people saying, I'd love you to interview me on your podcast. And they're always saying, and I've listened to your podcast so much and I really enjoy it. And I think this is such a good place for me to be interviewed by. And I go back and actually say, well, solo cast, really? It's not an interview. And if you really feel like you want to do something, I will give you an opportunity. And that's to talk for 15, 20 minutes. And I'll give you the platform. And as long as it is in line with what we do here, and it's not just about selling a book, because most of the time people want to come on for an interview is to sell them whatever they're doing. They're trying to sell things and not share things. But every now and again, and we've had it in the past, someone comes along who just wants to share something. And we've got one today. She's a lovely lady. Her name is Jana, but spelt with a J. She's Spanish. And I'm going to read a little bit of the bio, and then we'll talk about a little bit what you're going to hear. And then I'll do hopefully a nice closing of it and see the comparisons between what we do here and what Jana is sharing with us. So Jana is a renowned integrative healer and a business growth strategist with a deep commitment to helping individuals achieve high levels of wealth, joy, high levels of love, impact and growth, and is the founder of the School of Integrative Healing. Jana has developed a powerful system of healing that combines multiple modalities and dimensions to provide transformative experiences for her clients. And I think you're going to find, or you'll listen and you will find, there are similarities of the way I share all the things that I've learnt. There's similarities, and this is what I like. It's a little bit like a confirmation of what we're doing here is right, because other people have been taught from different cores, different beliefs, yet in the middle of it, there's a string that just seems to hang them together. It's just a different interpretation of the same thing. It's a different sharing in different words of the same core philosophy. That philosophy works on, healing yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally. In fact, Hannah has 4 planes of healing that she talks about as an integrative healing, and you'll hear that. And I think it's so great because one of the things she said, which really resonated with me, was the problem's never the problem. And I always say, never work. I never work with my clients with the problem they bring through the door, because that isn't the problem. It's the effect of the problem. And once we can find that root cause, which will always have a negative emotion and always a limiting belief or a negative belief. And I say always because that's a big generalization, and I know we shouldn't generalize, so it's probably not true, but it is. I think it is. And when we change, and we can change that belief, that emotion, by understanding, learning from the past. Now, I do it a particular way, Hannah does it a different way. And she's going to share with us a wonderful process that she's developed. Well, in fact, this is what I really like about Hannah is she's sharing something that I think she's probably developed a little bit, but she gives the right acclaim to who developed it first, which is what we do here. We love to take things from other people, but we'll always give, the right claim's not the word, but you know what I mean. We will tell who developed this first, and then how we maybe have changed things. Because there's so many people who will change things and then say it's their complete thing. They develop themselves, and they don't. But Hannah is, I just love it the way she comes across, and so honest. And that's what I like about people who, when they do this work for the right reason, maybe approaching it from a different angle, it doesn't matter. The intention is there. Anyway, please welcome and put your hands together, metaphorically, physically, for Hannah.
Firstly, thank you, Paul, for allowing me to come here and to teach. And to all of you, my name is Hannah. I am the founder of a system of healing, which I call integrative healing. I have been in the healing world, business, industry, doing the work on myself for the past 11 years. So I'm 31. I started this work when I was 19. I made a decision at 19 years old that changed and continues to change my life. It was a decision that I was going to learn how to heal. And once I learned, I was going to bring it to the world. I realized that there is not a breadth of information for people that want to transform and change their lives. And there's not a breadth of support. And so I saw that this was an issue, that this was a problem. And having an entrepreneurial mind, for me, it wasn't just about how can I heal and change my life, but how can I bring this to people who want this and desire this too. I believe that health and healing works on 4 planes, and these aren't 4 planes that I've come up with. These are 4 planes that have been around for as long as time. This is what the Inca tradition, which is the shamanic path that I study and practice and teach, have always known. And these 4 planes of health and healing are physical body healing. So that's looking at your cells, your nutrition, your sleep, your exercise, important, but only 25% of the game. Then you've got emotional and mental healing. And this is where we get to do a lot of the work to transform our lives. So I noticed that Paul is certified in Timeline, NLP, and other similar modalities. And this is where these modalities lie, right? Where we reprogram the unconscious mind to transform our life, where we clear emotions from our past and for our body to change our present and our future. I love Timeline, guys. I've had such huge results from having sessions, Timeline sessions. And then we've got spiritual healing, okay? Spiritual healing is understanding that life is how we see it through our human eyes, but also how we see it through the level of the soul. So it's starting to connect to business, to life, to love, to our relationships through the eyes of the soul. And starting to realize that there is nothing that happens to us. There is only things that happen for our growth and our evolution. That's how the soul sees the world. And then we've got my favorite, which is energetic healing, right? It's healing from the quantum plane. So I promise I'm going to bring this all together for you guys. And I could go into each description with a lot more information. But for right now, all you need to know is integrative healing is a system of healing, a framework of healing that combines modalities in all the 4 planes that I just described. Okay. So my aim is, when it comes to the healing work, it's not about me. It's not about my modality. It's not about, look how great I am. It's about, how can I get people results? How can I get people the life, the extraordinary life that I believe that we were all born for and we're all able to create. And I found that it's when we give people access to all of these multiple modalities, do things really click for them. It's almost a map of healing, a map of transformation. And this system of integrative healing is always growing. It's always evolving, because I'm always growing and I'm always evolving and I'm always learning new modalities. I'm always so excited to meet people that are pioneering things that are an upgrade, that are an evolution, that are getting people results faster and better. Okay. And all of this then keeps compounding and creating this system of integrative healing. So that's me. That's a teeny weeny part of what I do. I will expand in one thing. I use integrative healing to help people shed who they're not, or their past, or whatever way you want to call it, so they can create the life that they really want in the present, leading to the future that they really want. I work with entrepreneurs, action takers, peak performers, and I also just work with humans that have this feeling deep down that life's not meant to be bad thing after bad thing, struggle after struggle. Life can be good, life can be beautiful, life can be great. They're here for the extraordinary. They're ready to step out of the ordinary. Okay. So what did I want to share with you today? Today, I wanted to share with you a tool. And I've picked this specifically because of the podcast, and specifically because of the work that you do with Paul here. Because you do, every time you listen to an episode, you don't realize, maybe because it feels passive, it feels easy. Every word he says is opening your perspective, shifting your unconscious, therefore changing results, shifting energy in your life. And that's what I want to give you today. So I'm going to share a little tool at the end. I think the tool that I'm going to share is to help you shift pressure, but I also want to talk to you about the somatic and unconscious work that I do that is very, very much in alignment with what you've all been learning here already. So I mentioned at the start that I study shamanism, and shamanism is very different to what people commonly believe. So to answer your questions, I've never done ayahuasca. I've never done any plant medicine at all. The shamanic medicine that I use is just learning how to shift altered states of consciousness, right? To heal through our body, through our mind, through our energy field. That's as wild as I get, which is actually pretty wild and pretty incredible and pretty extraordinary, and it still blows my mind. And actually, I wanted to share something that happened yesterday evening with you guys, so you can really see the power of the unconscious work, how simply shifting a belief system or a perspective can shift your whole reality, right? And I have permission to share this. I am in a relationship with a man called Craig Barlow, and Craig and I have been together for just under 3 years. And a big part of our relationship agreement, to put it in a certain way, is that we work through our stuff. We believe that, there are endless levels of good to be explored in our life. There are endless levels of love. There are endless levels of financial freedom. There are endless levels of peace. And we've made the commitment to ourselves and to each other to become the person or the people that does the work, right, to make that possible. So yesterday, my partner shares with me that he's kind of facing this glass ceiling in business. It's a repetitive pattern, and it's frustrating him because, as much as he does, as many courses as he does, he keeps ending up in the same situation. And we're talking about it. And I say to him, darling, are you open? You've always got to ask permission. I'm not his therapist. We're in a relationship, and that's a line that we do not want to cross. I just said, darling, can I clear this for you? Because here's something else that I also believe to be true, and you may believe too. Talking only does so much. Talking might be useful for us to, bring something to light. But for me, talking about a pattern is the bare minimum. What we want to do is we want to clear it. And clearing our patterns isn't as difficult as people think. So I say to him, love, we've talked about this for the last 2 and a bit years. Can I just go in and clear it? Like, I know how to do it. And so I start tracking back. And there's a process that I teach. I certify people in this as well. And it's very similar to timeline. And I believe that the body and the unconscious mind knows, that we know when you ask the right questions, when you facilitate the right space, it's easy to clear something that's been blocking you. And so we start to talk about this pattern in business that's creating a glass ceiling. He can't get beyond it, however much action he does, how many strategies he does, however much strategy he does. Like, it's not shifting. And so I said to him, what do you feel as if every time you get this result? And so he reports back this feeling of sadness and miserableness. Now, what's really interesting is when you study shamanism or when you study NLP, I'm guessing, or timeline, you're very much taught that the problem is never the problem. So this pattern in business actually has got nothing to do with this pattern in business. There's this feeling of miserable and sad. And I said to him, and we can track in the body the root cause of a pattern. We can track in the body really easily. And so I say to him, darling, when was the first time that you felt that? He comes back with a series of memories, and we go through the different memories. And one memory is his highest cash month in business. And in this highest cash month in business, he has a really bad time. Have you ever had that? Have you ever experienced that? You get this really big result that you've been wanting for a really long time, and then you're too exhausted to enjoy it. Now, the really interesting thing with the unconscious mind is that it creates associations, it creates belief systems. And belief leads to behavior. And so as we tracked back, we identified this belief system of high cash months means that I'll be exhausted, and high cash months will affect my health. And because I'm not willing to sacrifice my health, I can't allow high cash months to come through. This is very common. And so once you've identified an unconscious belief that's not helpful and that's driving an undesirable experience in the present moment, you can start playing with it, right? You can start creating awareness for the person. So I invited him to look 2 years ahead. Darling, as long as you hold this belief, where will you be 2 years ahead in the same place? Do you want that? No. Now, what's really incredible is once we've identified a belief, right? And once we've identified that we don't want it, and once we start playing with awareness, what if it wasn't true? That's when you can start creating transformation and change in someone's life. However, in this situation, I intuitively felt there's more at play than just this unconscious link. And so I invited him, I asked him, and I was like, okay, let's just keep tracking back. And he came up with 2 very big memories, right? One memory was when he was 9 and his dad left his mum. He was the youngest of all 3 boys and moved to Spain with another woman. And so as he felt that, he felt all of this sadness, and there was these belief systems of, I'm bad, relationships don't work for me, don't be too good, don't be too kind, because they'll go. And again, we played that out in the future. How is that still playing out for you? How is it affecting us and our relationship? How is it affecting your business? And, really from this place of never judgment, it's just curiosity, because understanding how the human being works means that you can step back and just see, patterns playing out. And he does the same for me, to be clear. And so after we identified these belief systems that were creating undesirable results, what we could start to do is clear the emotion. One school of thought suggests that when a traumatic event happens, right, not only do we have a negative unconscious belief or a conscious belief that leads to undesirable results, we also trap the emotion in our system. So when we do the emotional clearing work, what we have to do is clear the emotion in the system to set that person free from that memory. Now, another school of thought, and this is very interesting, suggests that when we've experienced a traumatic moment, right, our unconscious mind doesn't realize that the event has stopped happening. So our unconscious mind still sees the event as a threat. And so instead of clearing an emotion, what you actually do is give the unconscious mind new information that the event is over, right? So we can come out of fight or flight, and the emotion will naturally be released when that happens. I do both. And you can do this really simply if you're finding yourself triggered or having an intense emotional response at something that's no longer in your present moment. You can say to yourself, go back and change it. And then you can repeat back, I can't. And so what you do when you ask your unconscious mind to do something about something in the past and you say, I can't, what it does is it updates the unconscious mind to there's nothing to do. I don't have to be hooked on. I don't have to keep creating emotion around this, because what is the emotion designed to do? The emotion or the fight or flight response is designed to get you out of the situation that is a threat. But if you update the unconscious mind to the fact that the threat is no longer happening, there's nothing left to do. So you can do this. You can practice this with yourself. You can say to yourself, as you think about an event, change it. Right? Change the event, whatever the event is, you can fill in the blank, and then you can respond, I can't. It happened, but it's no longer happening. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And what very often happens is you'll feel an instant relief of emotion. And here's the really interesting thing. When we feel an instant relief of emotion, what does that tell us? That tells us the unconscious mind has been updated. It means that you are free from the past memory and you can start creating something new and different. So we did this with each of the memories, right? We updated the unconscious mind, we cleared the emotions, right? And we actually changed the unconscious programming. So we went from, they're going to leave me, which is really common, right? And high cash months means poor health, not willing to sacrifice poor health. We updated that, right? To that's no longer a threat anymore. Now, this is the thing that's really exciting for those of you guys that want to live an extraordinary life, right? I believe that we can create everything that we desire in our life if we have the right unconscious programming. So when we do this work, it's not just about setting you free from past memories, setting you free from past trauma. It's not just about emotional freedom, which, by the way, is really important. It's about you now can put that creative energy in creating what you want. Okay. So sometimes what we do in these therapies is that we program in a new belief system, right? And so the new belief system in this situation could be, as I rise in wealth, I rise in health. I'm always finding new ways to do business that improve my well-being. You can play with all of these belief systems. And what's really interesting and what we know is belief affects behavior. So when we believe something, we behave in a way that's correspondent to it. Okay. We work as as a computer, a goal-striving mechanism. This is the work in psycho-cybernetics. And so if you hold a belief, that is the goal. If the belief is, I am healthy wealth and I'm always rising in higher levels of healthy wealth, it's like you've programmed in a goal to your unconscious mind, and all of your behaviors will be derived towards that. We're going to have a little practice exercise today so that you guys can start to experience some emotional clearing together. And we're going to practice releasing something that's super duper common for entrepreneurs. We're going to release entrepreneurial pressure. You might be feeling pressure, not from just being an entrepreneur, but from being a human being with feelings. We're going to release that, and we're going to notice how easy and how quick and how simple this can be. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to think about something, a situation in your life that generates a really unpleasant emotion. Maybe it's pressure, maybe it's fear, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's, whatever it is. Just bringing that to your mind. And in front of your mind's eye, I want you to see a balloon. What color is the balloon? What shape is it? Is it a circular balloon, or have you got a kiddie's balloon that's like a little wiggle? And I want you to use your right hand, and you're going to bring the balloon to your mouth using your right hand. So you're going to hold, the bit where you blow the air in, you're going to hold that to your mouth, and you're going to do it with your body. And I want you to think about all of that emotion in your system. And what we're going to do is we're going to blow it out together into that balloon. And you're going to blow it on 3, 2, 1. Keep blowing, blowing, blowing until it's done, it's done, it's gone, it's cleared, it's done. And then you're going to imagine, and you're going to do, with your right hand, you're going to bring that balloon out of your mouth, and you're going to look at that balloon in your mind's eye. And you're going to say, you used to control me, but now I control you. Right? And you're going to notice that those emotions can't control you anymore. You've got them in your hand. You're in control. You are holding those emotions in your right hand. And now what we're going to do is we're going to exhale. And on the exhalation, you're going to say the word release. And your unconscious mind responds to imagery. So what we're going to do when we say release, we've not done it yet, I'll count you down when it's time to do it, is that you're going to see an image of releasing the balloon. Maybe you pop it, maybe it explodes into fireworks, maybe you throw it into the sea, whatever, maybe you give it back to God, like whatever imagery resonates with you. It's all about imagery speaking to your unconscious mind and telling your unconscious mind that this emotion, this pressure is done. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, exhaling, saying in your mind, release, clean and clear. And just noticing in your body, seeing if you can feel that feeling again. You'll notice that the feeling has gone because it's cleared, it's done, it's finished. Now, what I've just talked you through, and I spoke earlier to this, is that I use a multiple modality approach, is a combination of shamanic therapies, which are designed for this, something called RTT, Rapid Resolution Therapy, by someone called Dr. John Connolly, who's really extraordinary. I recommend reading his book, and an exercise that is used by someone called Andrea Crowder. I love to cite people's works. I love to cite different modalities. I am a great bringer together of information, but even when I do that, I really, really like to credit who they came from. So if you are intrigued by this work, this unconscious reprogramming work, I have a membership to a school. It's called the School of Integrative Healing. Now, what we do that is quite unique is that we bring together all of these modalities. So the modalities that you've heard me speak about today in a whole breadth, right? Everything from nutrition to shamanism, I say, as well as teaching people practical business strategy. The goal is that it's a one-stop shop for every single entrepreneur, human being that wants to live an extraordinary life, and action taker. As always, things can only work when you implement. I'm going to share a link which has got a free business course that you guys can trial. And for the action takers that are just like, I want to know more about this, I want to do more of this, I love this multiple modality approach, just drop me a message and you can hop on a call with my team. Thank you very much, Paul, for having me here. We'll be connected very soon.
So thank you, Hannah. That was absolutely awesome. Wasn't it awesome? And did you notice some of the similarities? Let's just go through the similarities. Things like asking the right questions. We've talked about it before here. What would happen if that belief wasn't true? That's a wonderful question, because as soon as where did that belief come from? Where's the data? And when we ask that belief to hold itself up and be accounted for or accountable, and it can't, then it has to disappear. And you say, well, what can we learn from this? What would be a better belief? And I love what she did about what's the consequence of keeping this problem. And I use that in one of the processes that I've taken and developed as getting the unconscious mind and a conscious mind to notice what's the consequence of keeping the problem, but also what's the consequence and the opportunities of letting the problem go and being the way you want to be. And then getting the unconscious mind to decide, consequence here, consequence there, which one would you choose? And when we can learn from the past, look to see the consequences of keeping the problem or changing the problem, I think the unconscious mind, it's a no-brainer as such, excuse the pun, but it's a no-brainer for your unconscious mind to go, do you know what, I've got to change. And then the process comes along. And I love it that, some of the things that she was doing, it's just a change of modalities. And even the submodalities, if you're into NLP, you'll notice there's a lot of submodality work going on. And it's learnings. Maybe I know I would say things differently, but that's the way I've been brought up and taught. But I do appreciate, and I listened to the recording before a couple of times, and I thought it was so good. And it made me think, and anything that makes you think means you're learning. And it's that thing of, I saw the thing about being curious, that curiosity of the consequence and the stress, or not the stress, but stressing. It's about taking action, not just being an intellect and knowing this stuff and talking, because talking will, I agree with Hannah, talking will only get you so far. For some people, talking will resolve everything. But I find that to be in the smaller percentage of us. It's learning and then making the change, setting your intention. But you have to do the things. You have to do the process. You have to do the imagination, the visualizations. So thank you so much to Hannah. And yeah, that's it for me, I think. I haven't got any social media for Hannah. If you want me to pass on your thanks, email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com, and I'll pass them on to her. And yeah, thank you so much. And please do share this episode. Let other people find out different ways, different perspectives on resolving the same type of issues. Because there's so many different ways we can learn to change. And if one doesn't resonate, another will. But sometimes it's the same process, but the words are slightly different and they just gel, they resonate. And when they resonate, change happens just like that. Anyway, so thank you, Hannah. And it's time to fly, my friends. Bye-bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.